Today our lesson is Explore How Maps Represent Information. We are still in the Principles of Geography subsection. For your bell work, you are writing, do map makers have the right to include or exclude specific pieces of information when they are creating maps? Why or why not? Take a moment and pause the video to jot down the answer to your bell work. So first, we will record some observations. So on the next slides, you're going to see two different images. To help structure your observation, you're going to consider three things. What do you think, wonder, and see about each of these images? So this should feel familiar since we've done this before. You're also going to want to consider, what do you think was the purpose of each map? Why did this geographer or map maker make this map? And then the third thing you're going to think about is, why do these two maps look so different? So for source 10, our first map, we are looking at the system map of Metro, which is the rail system for Washington, D.C. So you can take a moment, pause, and jot down some thoughts of your initial observations of this map. Source 11 is an overlay of DC Metro train lines in Washington, D.C. on a street map. So if you look at the key on the bottom, it's a little bit cut off, but it's the train lines of DC Metro in different colors, and they are laid on top of a map. Go ahead, pause the video, and take a few moments to jot down your initial observations on those. Now we're going to begin to observe and analyze. So we're going to examine both maps. What details first catch your eye in each one? What information about Washington, D.C. does each map either include or exclude or minimize? For question 5, source 10, so that's the one that is not an overlay on a map, but just of the rail lines, is designed for display in metro stations. So if you were going to ride the subway and you were walking down into the subway tunnels, this map would be displayed like on the wall. How do the map makers' choices to emphasize, minimize, or exclude details serve that purpose? So take a moment and answer these questions on your notes. For this one, for my e-learners, you are going to do this portion of the lesson in the discussion. So when you are done watching the videos in your instructions, you'll move forward into the discussion portion, and these questions will also be copied in there, so you'll have them there. So which map provides the most useful representation of the Metro rail system? So if you were unfamiliar with the system and needed to learn how to get somewhere or figure out which line to take, which one would be most helpful? Which map provides more accurate representation of the Metro rail system? So it's a separate question. Of these two sources, 10 and 11, which one is most actually accurate? Why is that? The other question you're going to discuss in that discussion is to complete the sentences that are given to you to summarize similarities and differences between the two maps. So while both maps blank, only source 10 blank, and while both maps blank, only source 11 blank, okay? So when you are done with the video, and there's a second video from National Geographic, then you'll move on to the discussion. Okay, you have to answer these questions, post, and then respond to one other student. And again, you can't just say oh, I agree with you. You have to either agree and give evidence to support what they said or give evidence against it. But no matter what you're doing, make sure you are respectful and that you give a quality response. Reflect and connect. So for your assignment, when you're done with your discussion, you'll click the next button and there will be a small little assignment for you to type. So for this assignment, you will make a claim that incorporates evidence. So again, you need to use something from these images to support what you're saying. And the claim is, what are the most important takeaways from these sources? How do these takeaways relate to the prior sources that we've looked at and to the starter claim that we had initially made that said, geographers make maps to identify the locations of places? This prompt is also in that assignment. So you'll do the discussion, click next, it'll bring you to the assignment, and there's a small place to type your paragraph, and then the instructions are in there as well.